I am a 50-year-old Puerto Rican picker and collector of all things rare, vintage, or antique, and I've been picking and collecting in Connecticut for over 20 years. In 2019, I read an article about BlAcK dolls and how rare they are. The article talked about how only a few BlAcK dolls have ever been popular over the past couple of decades, and then it focused on old handmade black cloth dolls that are usually only found in museums or held by private collectors like Oprah and Whoopi. Reading that article really piqued my curiosity because I realized that after all these years and all the homes I've been in throughout Connecticut, I couldn't recall ever seeing any BlAcK dolls unless it was a black Barbie. So I thought to myself that going forward I was going to be on the lookout for BlAcK dolls. And ever since then, just like that, I've been finding them. But I never imagined what these dolls would teach me about when they might have originated, who might have made them, and whether these dolls were actually made for black girls or white girls. I also didn't expect to learn so much about how the formerly enslaved children played and the types of toys they might have had if they were fortunate to be able to play or have a toy at all. I am not an expert. Most of what I am sharing is based on online research. And with that said, I want to take a moment to thank those of you who have asked questions or made comments that have pointed me in the right direction towards learning more that I plan to share. Not surprisingly, I've learned that there isn't much written history about BlAcK dolls at all. Most of the information that is known is said to come from oral history that has been passed down. I cannot determine when each of these dolls were actually made, but if you take into consideration how they were made and their clothing, among other things, you can likely determine what time period they are from. Who actually made these dolls will never be known, but I think it's safe to assume it wasn't a black woman who would have made a Mammy or a Nini doll, unless of course she was made to do so. One day I plan to donate my collection to an African American museum, and I thank you for your suggestions as to which museum should get them. But in the meantime, as Maya Angelou would say, when we learn, we teach. During my research, I was fascinated to discover that the largest private collection of handmade black cloth dolls is said to belong to Connecticut's own Deborah Neff. If someone knows her, I'd love to meet her. In a March 2018 article written by Lynn Yeager, contributing editor at Vogue, in referencing an exhibit of Neff's collection, she described the dolls as mute witnesses to our American story. In all its glory and its wretchedness, they are small but mighty testaments to our shared history, our survival, and our triumphs.